Okay, I just went through some bullshit and I need to rant for a moment. So, some of y'all have been around for a little while. You know that I have something wrong with my heart. We don't know exactly what it is. I can walk forever. I'm somewhat athletic. I mean, I walked 10 miles today. I would be considered athletic even though I'm not like a runner. So, there's nothing like actually wrong with my heart, I want to say, because the athletic abilities. But if I'm just standing still, sometimes my heart will like freak out and it'll start racing, and then I'll start sweating and feeling like I'm going to vomit or faint and shaking, and I'll have to sit down to keep myself from fainting. This happens to me kind of regularly, unfortunately. I'm mildly in control of it because I know the symptoms and I know how to stall it out, so I rarely actually faint, but I'm often sitting on the floor of some place, shaking, sweating, with my knees to my chest, breathing a certain way to get myself back to where I'm not feeling like I'm going to pass out. The manager at this McDonald's knows this happens to me because I'm a regular at this McDonald's. They're about a half a mile down the road. I go there a lot for free fries. For, you know, when the Angels score, you get free fries if you spend $2. So I go there a lot. I'll pay for the hamburger, get the free fries. Right. The manager is aware that I will faint if I stand at the register for too long. He does not care. So I go to the McDonald's. I order at the kiosk, which is supposed to make things faster. Let's be reminded that the entire point of putting kiosks in the McDonald's was to make things move more smoothly. I order at the kiosk. I walk over to the register. And about 2 minutes after I'm standing at the register, I start feeling like I'm going to faint. So I sit down. And a few minutes after I sit down, the guy still hasn't walked over, and I realize, oh, he can't see me because now I'm sitting below the counter. So I'm starting to panic a little bit now because I can't stand at the register to wait for him, and he's never going to see me if I'm sitting. So another customer notices and asks me what's wrong, and I tell her I'm about to faint. I need to pay for my food so that I can sit in a chair and gather myself again. She gets the manager. Like, she actively walks behind the counter. This woman tried so hard to help me because she was standing at the counter, the manager's ignoring her. She walks behind the counter. You walk behind the counter, they're going to pay attention to you. So she walks behind the counter, and the manager comes over to stop her. And she says, there's a lady out here that's about to faint. We need to do this transaction so that she can get herself sitting down. And he looks around the counter at me on the floor and says, oh, it's her. And goes back to what he was doing and ignores the register for another 5 minutes, knowing that I'm about to have a medical emergency in his lobby. And part of me is going malicious compliance. I should have let myself faint, because then he would have had to call an ambulance and he would have had to deal with writing up an incident report about why a woman fainted in his lobby after 12 minutes of waiting to pay for a meal. Because that's how long it took. Sorry, the Scott is messaging me, and that's why it keeps buzzing. The receipt says that from the time I ordered to the time I got to pay, it was about 12 minutes, which is way too long when the entire concept of the kiosks was to make things faster. And way too long when you're aware somebody in the building is having a medical emergency and you're moving just a little bit faster would solve the problem. Because as soon as I paid, which by the time he took my money, I was sweating, I was shaking like a fucking crackhead. I could barely understand what was happening around me. I was very, very close to fainting. I was just standing there, money in hand for him to take, because I couldn't even, like, talk to him to talk to him. I was that out of it by the time he finally got to me. So he finally takes my money and I sit down. And I waited for a long enough time that I started feeling better, right? And I finally got the food and got to leave. But this should not happen. I understand that they have jobs, they have things to do. But if a customer is having a medical emergency in your lobby, if you have a customer that's about to pass out because they have POTS, because they're over dehydrated and hot, because they're having a blood sugar issue, and if it was a blood sugar issue, you should absolutely be trying a little bit faster to get them food, because they're in a business to get food. They're clearly trying, right? Like, and for me, when this thing hits my heart and I start having these feelings, it does look a lot like a blood sugar episode, because I become incoherent, I become confused, I'm shaking, I'm sweating. It can very easily be misconstrued as a blood sugar thing. And if I was having a blood sugar drop in this man's restaurant and he was just dragging ass to get my payment, I could have died. I mean, at what point do you actually start to give a fuck about your customers? I guess if you work at McDonald's, you don't care about anything anymore. But I'm tired of almost dying for a chicken nugget.